I've never done a YouTube live. This is my first time. Hi, everyone. Welcome. If you are a spiritual person who wants to really thrive in this human experience and like loving yourself is a good idea, but you seem to lean more towards inner criticism or indifference towards yourself, and you really want to build self-love, even if, like I said earlier, you don't like yourself very much, then this is the video for you. Hey, I'm Karina, I'm the founder of the Embodied Mindfulness School. This channel is all about helping spiritual people thrive in this human experience, and I am so stoked that you are here. Let's talk about self-love. First of all, we're gonna demystify some things about self-love that just aren't true. Sometimes, self-love is not just like pampering yourself. Self-love is not keeping yourself in a cocoon and never getting uncomfortable. As a matter of fact, the more we care about ourselves, the more we believe in ourselves, the more we love ourselves, the more able we are to push ourselves forward into those edgy places, right, that can be a little uncomfortable. So I used to think that self-love was like, I would do things like, okay, not call my dad as often as I wish I had. He's not alive anymore, because I would feel awkward on the phone with him. So I wouldn't do it, because I was like caring for myself or whatever, that to me meant keeping comfortable. Or, I would cancel plans to go to parties that I had committed to, like, a lot because I just didn't have the energy, or I didn't feel like I was, likable in that moment or whatever. You know how when you have those down days and you just feel like, oh, I can't show up to this thing. And I thought that was really, taking good care of myself. But now as I realize that true self-love, I look back on this and it's like, no, it's actually about caring for yourself like a good parent would care for their child, right? So a good parent really believes in us and our vision and our dreams, and will nudge us and push us forward into the terrain and into the places that, we might feel a little uncomfortable venturing into. And that's really the type of self-love that I want to speak to. And I want to talk about how you cultivate it. And we're going to talk about the 3 things to keep in mind in this, on this topic, in this exploration. So, like, number 1, self-love isn't linear. It's really not. It's a shift that we make continuously. And a good question to ask yourself is, I try it on right now for a second. Like, what would it feel like to be more friendly towards myself right now? What would more inner friendliness feel like? What would more caring feel like? So we just sort of dip our toe in it. It's like this shift we make. 'Cause often if we check in, for those of us who have a loud inner critic, for those of us who just feel like we're never like good enough, or we struggle sometimes with enoughness, feeling enough, the default inner voice, which can be changed with support and guidance and doing the work and, getting a good mentor and all of those things. But the default voice within is often criticism or indifference. And so we can shift that by just asking the question, what would more inner friendliness feel like? And this is continual throughout the day, just like checking in, softening the heart. Notice if you experience any shifts with this inquiry. Good. Yeah. And so, like, yesterday or today, maybe you're feeling, like you really have your own back, but it might not be the same tomorrow. And so this is a continuous process. And again, it's not linear. So let yourself off the hook. Complete and utter and total forgiveness. Like, this is a choice we need to make, to just begin again. Begin again. We always have the grace to begin again. And beating ourselves up for the failures in the past, it's just not fair. I mean, don't we get as many opportunities to try again as we need in this lifetime? I think so. And just because it hasn't been successful in the past doesn't mean you won't be able to do it now. Sharon Salzberg says, no matter how dark the room is, when you turn the light on, you can see. whether the room's been dark 1,000 years or one day. And it's the same for us. Grace, forgiveness is important. Okay, caring for yourself. Caring for yourself means, relating to yourself from kindness, from friendliness, as much as you can whenever you remember. And then sometimes the medicine is in encouraging ourselves to step out of our comfort zones. So sometimes self-love looks like, I know this is like not a sexy word, but restraint. Like if I'm devoted to a harmonious relationship with my husband and I'm feeling particularly edgy or aggravated because I just am, and I have this sense that like, ooh, I want to criticize him or bite his head off. You can feel that, right? You can feel that kind of rising up in you. And sometimes when we're really caring for ourselves, we restrain, like we know that that's coming from a tired, cranky place inside of ourselves. And so we choose not to vomit that on another person, right? We tend to ourselves. We drink some water, we take a nap, like we replenish and resource ourselves rather than just doing whatever we feel like it. That's not self-love. Just doing whatever you feel like it. That's a recipe for suffering. Discipline. That's also a sexy word, isn't it? Discipline. While we try reconnecting. Okay, I think I'm back. So discipline. When we really love ourselves, we develop the discipline to do those, like, sometimes it's the hard stuff of movement or eating well or whatever it might be. But if it's coming from care, it's not punishment. That's the heart of love that come from. It's from care. I care about myself. I care about my energy. So I'm going to encourage myself to get my butt up and out the door, or make that phone call or whatever the thing is that we might have resistance to, that we know is in the service of enhancing the. And then the other aspect of, they could hurt themselves, they could develop habits that are really hard to break later on. They just don't have the tools, the wisdom that I do or that a parent does. And so a good parent will set boundaries, will have clear expectations, will love and praise our kids for things that they do. It's not just blanket praise, like reparenting, we get to do it for ourselves too. And then the last thing that I want to talk to, the third thing. So the first was, it's not linear, it's a shift. Second is caring for the self can mean restraint, discipline, reparenting. And then the third thing I want to talk about is formal and informal practice. This is the cultivation piece. How do you build it? Even if you don't like yourself, all you need is the willingness to start. And so we can do it informally throughout the day. Just checking in, like I mentioned earlier in the video, like what would more inner friendliness feel like? What would someone who really loves themselves do? That's another good question. What would someone who really loves themselves do? We're like at a crossroads and we're trying to make a decision. That's informal practice. And then the formal practice we can think of as, in my tradition, we have the Brahma Viharas. And may I feel safe and free from inner and outer harm. So these are some examples of some metta phrases. And what they do is they it's like soothing balm. It's like a medicine for the critical mind, the stories that we often, have in our heads that are critical and put us down and lower our energy and our good feelings, right? So those phrases, and if you want to really practice this deeply, you can look on my channel for Metta meditations. And I'm actually just uploading a video from this morning's Dharma talk and meditation where we do a practice of Metta. So you might check that out as well. And so, self-love, even when you don't like yourself, is totally and completely possible. And I hope you found this valuable, these 3 points. Let me know what served you. Do subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and do share this with somebody that you think would benefit. Sending you love and blessings. Namaste.